All right, folks, welcome back. And thank you so much for tuning into the second segment of the Marketplace Reset and Jumpstart. I'm Anthony Weeks, and I'm usually joined by my colleague, Terry Coaxum. Hopefully she will join us later, but we do have a lot to cover on this program, on this segment. This segment obviously speaks to the area of business and as it relates to the economy as well, and public policy. This program today is going to focus on a Q&A, Small Business Administration, small business preparedness for the hurricane season. And we have a number of video presentation that we want to share with you. But I want to be able to share with you the issue of economic impact, if you will, when it comes to the hurricane itself. And what you see on screen, if you can see it clearly, it talks about, the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season outlook. And as you can see from the pie chart, you will see the number of storms, hurricanes, and major hurricanes. And you have number of storms is represented by the big colored part of the pie, which is 60% number of storms, named storms that we're going to see in 2021, named storms. Then you have 30%, which is the number of hurricane, which is 6 to 10 hurricanes this hurricane season 2021. Let me just go back and say named storms is going to be 13 to 20, I think this is 23. And then you have major hurricanes in 2021. They're anticipating 3 to 5 major hurricanes, and that represents 10% of the pie. But let me just speak specifically as it relates to how hurricanes damage the economy. So when you think of why Harvey, Maria, Florence, as well as other hurricanes were so destructive, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why hurricanes are so destructive. And so on this program, we focus on business and the economy and just the sheer devastation that comes out of what the impact a hurricane can have. Now, hurricanes are among the most damaging of natural disasters. A Category 4 or Category 5 storm can reduce the U.S. economic production and increase unemployment. Large hurricanes also depress the stock market and other financial markets. The United States, with its thousands of miles of shoreline, whether it's the Eastern Corridor or on the Gulf Coast area, you have clearly those coastal area and coastline and shoreline are most vulnerable. It's vulnerable to hurricane damage. The nation's coasts are important economic engines. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, better known as NOAA, coastal shoreline counties create 40% of America's jobs. Again, according to NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, coastal shoreline counties in the United States account for 40% of the jobs in America. They are responsible for 46% of the nation's gross domestic product. When a major hurricane comes ashore, the effects ripple throughout the economy. Key takeaways. Hurricanes inflict serious damage with high winds, storm surge, and heavy rainfall. Next, we have the 3 most destructive U.S. hurricanes were Katrina in 2005 and Harvey and Maria, both in 2017. The other third takeaway, expanding coastal line development and climate change could increase federal spending for hurricane damage costs in the coming years. Hurricane damage. The Congressional Budget Office estimate that 1.2 million Americans live in coastal areas that are at risk of substantial damage from hurricanes. The CBO, which is the Congressional Budget Office, defines substantial damage as loss of at least 5% of average income. The CBO also estimates that the annual cost to repair hurricane damage at $28 billion a year. These are average annual damage costs are expected to increase to $39 billion by 2075. Of that gain, 55% will be due to increased population density and development along U.S. coastlines. The other 45% will be due to the effects of climate change on storm patterns and strength. That's referring to the United States. Specifically now, as it relates to the Caribbean. Besides their captivating beauties, one thing the Caribbean countries have in common is their vulnerability to frequent and costly natural disasters. Many are among the 25 most vulnerable nations in terms of disasters per capita or land area. Irma and Maria, the two Category 5 hurricanes that hit the Caribbean, particularly we know here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, because we were impacted by both in September 2017, are the most recent tropical storms that have devastated the region, causing substantial loss of life and widespread destruction from the Turks and Caicos Islands to Dominica. Natural disasters have massive economic and human costs. They take a deep toll on growth prospects and erode fiscal cushions. Huge reconstruction costs in the aftermath crowd out scarce resources for health, education, and social spending. And climate change will only intensify these risks. Countries can adopt policies to reduce the human and economic costs of disasters and build resilience to future shocks through better preparation and more effective response. And so, just so to kind of put things in perspective, historically speaking, in terms of the high vulnerability, since 1950, 511 disasters worldwide have hit small states, that is, developing economies with population of less than 1.5 million. Of these, 324 were in the Caribbean, home to a predominant share of small states, killing, are you ready for this? Killing 250,000 people and affecting more than 25 million through injury and loss of homes and livelihoods. The Caribbean's vulnerability is characteristic of small island states, but this region has typically suffered more damage than others. Average estimate disaster damage as a ratio to GDP was 4.5 times greater for small states than for larger ones, but 6 times higher for countries in the Caribbean. Moreover, the region is 7 times more likely to be hit by natural disasters than larger states and twice as likely as other small states, according to the data. The economic cost of these disasters for the Caribbean is substantial, exceeding $22 billion in constant 2009 dollars between 1950 and 2016, compared with $58 billion for similar disasters globally. I mean, look at the numbers. Look at the contrast. And comparatively speaking, for a small region like the Caribbean, their number from 1950 to 2016 was 22 billion, and respectively 58 billion for similar disasters globally. So it just speaks of the high vulnerability of the Caribbean region. Hurricane Maria is estimated to have cost Dominica 225% of its GDP, while the hurricane damage for Grenada in 2004 was 200% of GDP, leaving the huge reconstruction needs that can take years to fulfill. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to go to, if you will, to the tapes that we're able to provide in the importance of these hurricanes and the damage they have done. And so we have a number of, if you will, tapes that we're going to share with you regarding the damage that have been inflicted to these regions when we talk about hurricanes in the region. So when we come back after this break, we will then share with you the video on these different reports coming from NOAA, as well as the discussion, the Q&A that's going to take place with the SBA and Small Business Preparedness. We'll be right back.
Time. It has a different meaning in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It goes backwards, forwards, it stops. St. Croix is rooted in history. So much of it still remains untouched.
I remember running on these streets as a kid. This shop was right down there. It opened the same year I was born. This is where the original Crucian Hook was born. It's the symbol of these islands. And I wanted to have my hands in that very same history. I want to be able to pass it down to my family while still putting a new spin on it.
The U.S. Virgin Islands, we have an amazing culture that developed over time from all over the world.
St. John feels so untouched. Being underwater is like another world. There's no worries, there's no stress. I can just escape. This is my happy place. My passion for scuba diving
NOAA's outlook for the 2021 Atlanta hurricane season indicates that an above normal season is most likely. Specifically, there is a 60% chance of an above normal season, a 30% chance of a near normal season, and a 10% chance of a below normal season. The outlook calls for a 70% probability in the following ranges: 13 to 20 named storms with top winds of at least 39 miles per hour. Of these 13 to 20 named storms, 6 to 10 will become hurricanes with top winds of at least 74 miles per hour. This includes 3 to 5 major hurricanes ranked as categories 3, 4, or 5, with top winds of at least 111 miles per hour.
got climate change, and really you look at some of the impacts of the tropics and hurricanes. There's not really much evidence to see more storms, but we are seeing some evidence possibly of a longer season. We're seeing some evidence of some of the storms could be stronger as well.
Hey, thanks for watching Bloomberg Quick Take Now. Subscribe to our channel to.
All right, so coming up, what we're going to do, this is going to be a forum discussion with the U.S. Small Business Administration, providing a question and answer forum for small business. So this is going to be very important information because obviously a lot of times small businesses are dealing with the aftermath of a disaster, whether it's a tropical storm, a hurricane, or a major hurricane. People are typically dealing with the post recovery from a hurricane. So the idea is going into this. Oh, we're in the 2021 hurricane season. We feel that it's important that we are proactive in providing you with the very important information that you're going to need as a small business, as a local business, a mom and pop, Main Street business, that instead of waiting for a hurricane to have destroyed communities and destroyed businesses and destroy economies and lives, the information that's going to be shared, this is going to be a forum, a question and answer forum with the Small Business Administration, U.S. Small Business Administration, with small businesses giving guidance and information to small business so they can better understand that. And so what I'd like to do is pull up, if you will, that video presentation with the SBA talking about exactly what you need to know as a small business. And let's not wait for the aftermath of a hurricane or a major tropical storm to know what to do, but you need to be equipped for beforehand. And so this is going to be the information that's going to be extremely valuable to you. And so
the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Assistance. I'm here today with some really great strategic partners that SBA has at IBHS and III. Part of SBA's mission is to help small businesses start, grow, and expand, but also recover from disasters. So today's discussion is going to be about hurricane preparedness. And as many of you know, we are now in hurricane season. Hurricane season is entering one of the peak parts of the season. Historically, one of the most active months is September. So today's discussion is going to focus on preparedness and how you can prepare for hurricanes. According to NOAA, the U.S. experienced a record-breaking 30 named storms last year. 12 made landfall, and 7 of those 12 became billion-dollar disasters, also a new record. NOAA predicts another above-normal hurricane season this year. Parts of the U.S. got hit by Elsa just last week, and more storms are expected to come this summer. So one thing we should note about hurricane activity and predictions is that regardless of whether the season is predicted to be above normal, or below normal, it really only takes one storm to devastate an area. So, which is why we stress preparedness. Hurricane preparedness can help your business recover faster after storms strike, saving you time and money. I'd like to introduce our guests. First, I'll start with Gail Morton at IBHS.
Thanks, Alex. So IBHS, our full name is the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. We are an independent nonprofit scientific research and communications organization, and we are supported solely by property insurers and reinsurers. So IBHS's building safety research leads to real-world solutions for both home and business owners. And we do this by building stronger, more disaster-resistant buildings, developing business continuity and recovery programs, and making individuals, businesses, and communities more resilient in the event of loss. So as Alex stated, my name is Gail Moriton. I joined IBHS in 2011 as the Business Resiliency Manager. In this role, I oversee the Open for Business EASY program, which is a business continuity planning tool, and the EASY Prep program, which is a severe weather emergency preparedness and response planning guide. I educate and encourage small business community the importance of business continuity planning. Chris, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Chris Chaffee. I am the Commercial Lines Engineer here at IBHS. I work closely with our research team at our lab where we do full-scale testing on commercial property, commercial-sized buildings. I also run the daily operations of our fortified commercial program, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Great, thank you. And I'd also like to introduce Loretta Waters with the Insurance Information Institute. Loretta?
Hi, Alex. My name is Loretta Waters. I'm Vice President of Media Relations for the Insurance Information Institute, also known as the III. We have been in existence for more than 60 years. We have been the trusted source of unique data-driven insights on insurance to inform and empower consumers. We serve consumers, including small businesses, the media, and professionals seeking advice about insurance, what it is and how it works. You know, the importance here with our partners at the SBA and the IBHS is the whole issue of resilience and mitigation, and a component of that is insurance. So I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you. So as you can see, we have a great panel of subject matter experts here on disaster preparedness. I'd like to kick off the conversation by asking the group, when preparing for natural disasters such as a hurricane, please share with us how businesses can conduct a risk assessment to identify potential hazards.
I'll take that, Alex. A good place to start is your county's hazard analysis or mitigation plan, and you can find that by searching your internet browser. The plan will usually include both historical and past disasters in your area and geographical threats, so such as hazards related to your proximity to flood plains, major airports, dams, or ports. Also, businesses should consider hazards related to their own type of business, their internal threats. So these are the risks or threats that stem from the nature of their type of business that they conduct. And this could be from anything from an illness to a death of a key employee, specific risk from the type of equipment they use, even their IT risk or the type of building. And then there are also some other risks that they need to consider, external risks. So these are ones that are maybe beyond their control, such as a protest at a nearby business or government building, maybe a major road construction project or a special event like the Super Bowl. So knowing these types of risks that they're exposed to, that'll help them in their preparedness planning. And then to help businesses with this planning, IBHS has two free EASY tools, which I mentioned earlier, OFB EASY and EASY Prep. Both are designed to help small businesses focus on planning for any type of disruption so that they can reopen quickly and resume operations following a disaster. It's an easy to use tool that does not require any previous experience with business continuity planning. The toolkit is available in fillable forms, both in PDF and Word formats, and it can be downloaded at the disastersafety.org website.
Hey, Gail, you know what else? It's also available in Spanish too, to make it more available.
Thanks for reminding me. Yes, so for our Hispanic-owned small businesses, there is also a Spanish translation guide available.
That's great information. And we always remind folks that, you know, it's really not a matter of if a disaster or maybe even just some type of a hazard might affect your business. It's more a matter of when. So it's always best to prepare now while you can. So another question. So what type of disaster preparedness training should business owners offer to their employees?
Well, first, once their plan is created, they need to share it with all of their employees. They need to review it together, know it, and then once they've had that chance to review it, conduct an exercise with them. It's pretty easy. You could sit around a conference table, everybody have their plan in their hand. Our OFB Easy Toolkit actually offers a power outage scenario where you can sit around, like I said, a conference table and go through the steps. That'll help find any gaps in your plan and maybe make some changes. Also, they should encourage their employees to have a personal preparedness plan for their households. Maybe remind them to sign up for their county's alerts, know their own evacuation zones and routes, and have a weather radio to get alerts, just like the one I have right back there on my credenza. So those are things that they can do to help their employees prepare.
Yeah, that's great advice. We always recommend people sign up for local emergency management alerts, and we've really seen some great advancements in disaster alerts and just monitoring of events. So, which is part of the reason why we've got such great forecasting on hurricanes right now. So another question, what are some tips for protecting important business records and customer data?
Well, digital copies are important documents. Reports, financial records, those should all be stored in the cloud to offer more protection for small businesses. There may be reports that are only available in hard copy, so those should be stored at least 3 feet above the ground in the event the business floods. And then better yet, start to scan those hard copies and save those in the cloud as well. But businesses can find more information on protecting important documents in our OFB Easy Toolkit, so I encourage them to look at that.
Yeah, so I started working in disaster assistance in 2005, and back then the common recommendation was for businesses to store their important documents, a certain number of miles away from their physical location. But now with the advancements we have, it's the best recommendation is to make sure that they've got digital copies and that they're accessible to them in the event that they need them after something happens. So another question, what can you do ahead of a hurricane to prepare the buildings your business is in? So imagine, we're in hurricane season now. We've got this great monitoring technology, and we're starting to watch these storms develop and track through the Atlantic, maybe through the Gulf. What can a business do if it looks like that they might be in, the scope of something?
So Alex, I'll take this one. Building maintenance. Building maintenance is very key. Start now. Doing it now will prevent damage down the road. So there's some key items that we really want to look at. First, the roof is your main protection from the elements. So what we want to do is, if it's safe, now fall protection is available. If not, you're going to hire a licensed and insured contractor to come do this building maintenance. But some key easy building maintenance that you can do is go up on your roof, see if there's anything that looks out of place. Is there debris? Look at your gutters. Are there any, leaves, dirt, buildup? Remove them. Get that off your roof. That could build up water on your roof and create excessive loads. So you want to start there. Look at your roof cover. See if you have any cracks, any alligatoring. If it doesn't look right, it's probably not correct. So you want to call a licensed contractor to come and get that fixed. You also want to make sure that you have a plan. The hours that takes for a storm to come, you want to make sure you're preparing for it. Bring any merchandise that you have inside from outdoors. If you have patio furniture, seating out there, remove it, bring it back in. Trash cans, make sure they're stored properly. Those can become projectiles. So, we talk about maintenance. You want to make sure that you're prepared for it. We also have a guide at IBHS. We put together Easy Prep, which Gail mentioned earlier. This will help you outline what you need to do, the hours and moments leading up to a storm, and then it also tells you what you need to do as a recovery.
That's great. So, we focus a lot on the physical damages and how businesses can, work on preparing themselves for those effects. But another part of disaster preparedness is insurance and focusing on how you can best position yourself for an economic recovery. I'd like to ask, what should businesses look for when reviewing their insurance policies?
I'll take that, Alex, and thank you. Gail pointed this out. It's all about the risks, right? We need to assess those risks. Businesses need to think about what kind of accidents, natural disasters, or even lawsuits could damage their business. The type of business they have, where it's located, and other factors determine what their risks are and the type and amount of insurance they will need. For example, a dry cleaner in Cleveland, Ohio, they're going to have very different risks and needs from a waterfront cafe in the Florida Keys, right? So, we need to look at not just the physical risks, which are very real and very important, the whole mitigation aspect, but we also need to look at, from an insurance perspective, what the potential risks are. Look at all the overall risks to your business. If you are a business in a hurricane-prone area of the country, you really need to look at what the potential losses could be if you're out of business for a while. So, we'll get into that later, but it's an important thing to think about.
Great. So what types of insurance does a business need in order to protect itself from a hurricane?
Well, there are several coverages businesses need. Property damage, for one. Chris talks about the physical damage. The physical damage is an important part. You want to protect your structure, your equipment, and your inventory from wind damage. Another part that we want to think about is flood insurance. Damage from flooding by hurricane-generated storm surge typically is not covered under a standard commercial policy or a business owner's policy, also known as a BOP to many business owners. Flood insurance is available from the federal government's National Flood Insurance Program, the NFIP. There is a cap, however, of $500,000 on the contents and $500,000 on the structure. So businesses might also want to consider what's called an all-risk commercial policy that has higher limits.
So here's a question that we get often. Is there insurance coverage that replaces loss of income and pays for extra expenses when a business is affected by a hurricane? At SBA, we provide disaster loans, not just for physical damages and to make those repairs, but also for working capital needs. So, a working capital loan can help with lost revenue, but what kind of insurance coverage might be able to help with that?
That's a great question, Alex. Business interruption insurance and extra expense insurance covers the loss of income resulting from a hurricane or other disaster that disrupts your business operations during what they term the period of restoration. So it's the time when you're rebuilding your business. Hurricane Sandy, for example, caused an estimated $30 billion in lost businesses or profits, a huge amount of money. And businesses, so many businesses were lost because of that. So, you want to make sure that you have business interruption insurance, which includes flood and damage, by the way. Another thing is utility interruption could damage your building or personal property. It could also force your business to shut down, causing it to lose income or incur extra expenses. So you want to protect your business against those losses by purchasing what's called utility interruption insurance. After Hurricane Sandy, a lot of people did not have that coverage, and it's really important. So if your electric goes out and it's out for a few days or weeks, you're not going to be able to recover that loss. So it's important to get that coverage. And finally, consider what's called civil authority, which provides coverage for business income losses suffered even if the business didn't sustain physical damage, but if the business was inaccessible, let's say there was an evacuation order, and people can't get into your area. So you need to have that kind of coverage. And there's certainly a lot more to consider, Alex. So businesses can access the III's website at www.iiii.org for more information.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that point up about accessibility, because that's another issue that we see often with businesses. if they're lucky enough to avoid, major damages from the hurricane itself, they might suffer from a loss of power in the area, just the area being inaccessible due to road closures or things like that. So having that type of insurance could be really a lifesaver for the business. So we're getting up on our last question here, but I wanted to kind of shift the focus to, recovery and after a disaster. So SBA provides low interest disaster loans for homeowners, renters, businesses, and nonprofits following a disaster. We provide money to help repair and replace physical damages and also money for economic injury or working capital needs. But another part of our program is for mitigation, which is, basically for that property owner to do protective measures. So use the low interest SBA disaster loan to help pay for improvements to the property to help make it more resilient, to help protect it against a future disaster, really to just, build back stronger that property. But I'd like to ask IBHS, when rebuilding after a disaster, how do you think a business can protect their properties from future disasters?
This is a great question, Alex. And we have a program called Fortified Commercial. It is a set of building resiliency standards for hurricane-prone regions, high wind, and hail as well. And it focuses on 3 different levels. We have fortified roof, fortified silver, and fortified gold. So roof focuses on the roof mainly. We want to make sure that's right, keep the roof on and keep the water out. We also want to make sure that our roof-mounted equipments are all attached properly. So we want to really, get that right. Then we go a little bit further with silver. We require backup power connections as well as wind impact resistant windows and doors in hurricane-prone regions. So as Loretta was saying earlier, that backup power is a big part of it, business continuity. So when we look at fortified commercial, it starts baking into the levels. When we get to fortified gold, that's where we have backup power on site. And that's where we really focus on business continuity because, as you said, you could be days without power and the backup power could save inventory. Say you're a restaurant, you're going to lose out on that inventory if you don't have the power. You can also get back up right after the storm and, start serving people. We have a project in Gulf Shores, Alabama. It went through Hurricane Sally. So Hurricane Sally was a slow-moving storm. It rapid intensified, and it moved about 3 to 4 miles per hour, walked and crawled across Alabama, dumped a ton of water, ton of rain, wind, and Gulf Shores, the Gulf State Park, was located right on the beach in Gulf Shores. The next day, they were serving breakfast. Minimal damage. So it just shows that mitigation works. And using these SBA disaster loans can really help not just build you back fast, but you want to get back and be stronger than before.
Yes, exactly. That's the whole goal of the SBA disaster loans is to make sure that disaster survivors, whether you're a homeowner, a renter, a business, or a nonprofit, is that you have access to this capital, and it's typically not a one program solution. It's going to be a combination of things. So we see a lot of our borrowers have insurance, but maybe there's additional expenses that they might have, and the SBA is a disaster loan is a great way to help supplement that. Or if they don't have insurance for the loss, that's fine too. They could still qualify for the SBA disaster loan. But the important thing is that they keep this mitigation and protective improvements in mind when they build back, because investing in your business and making sure you take advantage of the low interest SBA disaster loan to do that it's just really a smart way to rebuild. So I just want to close out today's discussion by thanking Gail and Chris at IBHS and Loretta at III for participating, and let all of you know you can find more information and preparedness resources for small businesses at ibhs.org, triplei.org and at sba.gov/prepare. So thank you all, and please have a safe summer, and watch out for those hurricanes, and a reminder to sign up for your local alert so that way you're up to date on any hazards that might be coming your way. Thank you.
All right, so there you have it. That was the SBA report on preparing small business for this hurricane season. As I indicated, this is going to be a very busy hurricane season, and we're talking about in terms of number of named storms. I think that the numbers right now, let me just recap what the numbers are so people have a sense of what that is. And so coming up in the 2021 hurricane season, 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, we're talking about literally, if we can get this going here, named storms, 13 to 20 storms, named storms. Then we're also talking about 6 to 10 hurricanes that could potentially develop in the 2021 season. Major hurricanes, 3 to 5. And so we're looking at also where you have 60% of those are hurricanes in terms of named hurricanes, 30% in terms of hurricane, and 10% major hurricanes. What I'd like to do is I'd like to, at this point, bring up the Bloomberg report at this point and see what's happening in the markets as well. And so let's go straight to Bloomberg and hear what's happening.
Position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/C's-Change.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at Bloomberg Quick Take. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellis. Stocks are climbing as a slew of solid corporate profit reports takes the focus off of concerns about the economic impact of coronavirus flare-ups around the world. Giants such as Verizon Communications and Coca-Cola are moving higher right now. We do have Verizon up by 1.1%. Coca-Cola shares up by 1.3% after the closing bell today. We will be hearing from Texas Instruments, among others. Here's where we stand, close to session highs. S&P up 27 now, up 0.6%. Dow Industrials up 247, up 0.7. NASDAQ up 84, up by about 0.6%. 10-years down 30 seconds, 10-year yield 1.28%. Spot gold down 0.4%, 18.03 the ounce. And West Texas Intermediate crude up 4.5%, 70.27 a barrel. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, terrific. Thank you so much, Charlie. Well, they are the nation's biggest private employer, well-known household corporate name, one known big time to our financial and investment audiences. We're talking about Walmart. It's also a company that is on a mission to become a regenerative company on all levels. So let's get into it with Walmart Executive Vice President and Chief Sustainability Officer. She's also president of the Walmart Foundation, Kathleen McLaughlin, and she joins us on the phone from Canada. Kathleen, so nice to have you here on Bloomberg Business Week. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Carol. Thanks for having me. It's super to be here.
Well, it's super to have you here because you guys see so much in our global economy, have to deal with so much in our global economy when it comes to supply chains. First of all, step back if we could, or look back past year. Tell us about the year on your world from your perspective at Walmart and the impact on ESG initiatives.
Yeah, well, you know, our focus when it comes to ESG really is on shared value, meaning how do we as a business address the issues that are most important to our stakeholders, the societal issues that are relevant to our business, important to the stakeholders, or we can make a difference through our business. And boy, what a year it's been. COVID, obviously, climate, what we're hearing about nature, equity, economic opportunity for people. You know, we've had it all. And, you know, many ways.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. You may not need to drink your morning coffee to get a jolt. The price alone may do the trick. Bad weather is affecting production in Brazil, the world's biggest coffee supplier, and sending prices higher. Frost is adding insult to injury caused by dry weather in recent months. Lumber's wild ride continues, with wildfires in Western Canada sending prices higher again. Prices soared to record levels earlier this year as demand outstripped supplies. Now, with inventories replenished, the fires are making shipments more difficult. Prudential Financial is selling a piece of the rock. Canada's Great West Lifeco is buying its full-service retirement business for over $3.5 billion. Prudential wants to become a higher growth, less market-sensitive business. Stocks have leveled off with modest gains. The Dow is up 253, the S&P is up 28, the Nasdaq Composite is up 88. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
To COVID, our first concern was associate safety, and could we even continue to operate in terms of PPE and protective equipment, plexiglass, all those kinds of safeguards, additional emergency paid time off leave policies, hiring an additional 500,000 people to put some slack in the system and make it easier for folks to stay home if they felt they needed to, and so on. So all of those kind of things. But in terms of our omni-channel transformation to serve the customer well, in a contact-less way, we accelerated our expansion of OGP, for example, online grocery pickup sites, and we now offer that in 3,750 locations.
Wow.
So we moved faster on that. In terms of climate, we elevated our ambition. We were the first retailer years ago, back in 2016, to set a science-based target for emissions reduction. This last year, we elevated our ambition and said, okay, let's set 2040 as a date to get to zero emissions in our own operations, not net zero, but zero. And let's go faster. We did set out a broader aspiration to become a regenerative company, which for us means needing to go beyond just being sustainable, but actually build back, whether you're talking about climate or natural ecosystems or equity.
Kathleen,
and,
that's huge, right? Like, it's not just about reducing your impact, but then kind of bringing back our climate and our environment.
Right. That's just one example. We're now at a point, we know from the science, that we actually need to draw down emissions, not just avoid further emissions. So it's a higher bar. And similarly on equity, we all felt the impact in a very visible way of what happened with George Floyd. And like many others, it caused us to reconsider what could we do? What more could we do with the assets that we have, whether it's our jobs, our purchase orders, or equity. And it's not a matter of holding steady on equity. We got a lot of work to do, right, to elevate people, to redress some of the wrongs of the past and really address drivers of systemic racism.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, because you pointed out that you guys are working towards zero emissions across your global operations by 2040, without relying on all of those carbon offsets that a lot of companies put into effect and use. Why does it take, help me out here, so that's 19 years from now. Part of me wants to say, and to be fair, I ask this of all the companies when we talk ESG and all the big companies like yourself, why does it take so long? What is so difficult? Because most scientists are saying we're running out of time. If you look at what's going on in the Pacific Northwest, just this couple of weeks, the flooding in Germany, the flooding in China.
Yeah.
We just maybe don't have another 20 years.
Yeah. So let's be clear, 2040 is the date we'll hit zero in scope 1 and 2. It's not the date that, we'll start working on stuff.
Right. And scope 1 and 2 is direct impact and indirect impact, like through suppliers and things, correct?
That's scope 3. So our science-based target covers all of it. So
Yeah.
Here's what we're doing. And here's to answer your question about 2040. So for our own operations, that includes the electricity to power our stores and our DCs, fulfillment centers and so on. It's our on-site fuels, it's refrigeration equipment, refrigerant, and it's the tractor trailers you see on the road that are labeled Walmart, right? It's the heavy rigs that are carrying products around. So all of that getting to zero takes time. Some of it goes fast. And by the way, we're working on it every day. So the science-based target has us reducing emissions every year. It's not as if we wait. So you'll see, if you look at our reporting, we've reduced our cumulative emissions since 2015 substantially.
Right.
We started on it. And every year we reduce further. What will take the long...
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. You may not need to drink your morning coffee to get a jolt. The price alone may do the trick. Bad weather is affecting production in Brazil, the world's biggest coffee supplier, and sending prices higher. Frost is adding insult to injury caused by dry weather in recent months. Lumber's wild ride continues, with wildfires in Western Canada sending prices higher again. Prices soared to record levels earlier this year as demand outstripped supplies. Now, with inventories replenished, the fires are making shipments more difficult. Prudential Financial is selling a piece of the rock. Canada's Great West Lifeco is buying its full-service retirement business for over $3.5 billion. Prudential wants to become a higher growth, less market-sensitive business. Stocks have leveled off with modest gains. The Dow is up 253, the S&P is up 28, the Nasdaq Composite is up 88. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
Message today about Prevnar 13. Learn more at Prevnar13.com. Don't get Prevnar 13 if you have had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with a weakened immune system may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-866-694-9300 or visit Prevnar13.com.
All right, folks, that's it for segment number 2 on business, the economy, and public policy. As we wrap up, I'd like to just kind of recap today's special coverage presentation, I should say, on the economic impact of hurricanes. And I want to just sort of highlight, if you will, what to know about hurricanes and the U.S. economy. Hurricanes reconstruction costs to coastal cities like New York and Miami can run in the billions and trillions of dollars. Large hurricanes depress the stock market and other financial markets, lowering production and increasing unemployment. And finally, federal government pays for 60% of hurricane damage, while state and local governments, insurance, and private individual pay the rest. And so, folks, that's it for this segment of the Marketplace Reset and Jumpstart, our special presentation on the economic impact for a very busy hurricane season in 2020 in the Atlantic hurricane season. And I'm Anthony Weeks. Coming up next on the other side, we have segment number 3 on technology and e-commerce. And we're going to do the introduction and overview of one of SETI's other major initiative. Actually, this initiative is going to speak to where there is opportunity for us to diversify the economy, build a viable industry that will create new businesses and create new jobs. And so that's coming up next on segment number 3 on the Marketplace Reset and Jumpstart. I'm Anthony Weeks. I will see you on the other side.